Welcome to Ancient Life Hacks. I'm Jared Madsen. I have a master's degree in Chinese medicine. I lived in China for many years. I'm fluent in Chinese. And today we will be talking about winter. So we want to get a comprehensive understanding of this season, its effect on our body, and what we should do, what we should eat. How do we attain the best state and use winter to our advantage and really go with the Tao, go with the flow, and get into winter. So let's dive right in. Winter in Chinese medicine is considered to be the water element. The organ systems associated with winter are the kidneys and the bladder. Okay? I'm going to pause right there before we move on. Now I said it's water and kidneys and bladder. That's starting to make sense because the kidneys and bladder work a lot with the water of the body, don't they? Yes, they do. So it all's coming together. This is in winter. The color is black or blue. Doesn't sound so good when you put it that way, but those are the colors. These darker bluish colors, kind of like what we think of as water, even though water's clear. But anyway, in the ocean, it's dark. Flavor, salty. Again, ocean water is salty. Seawater is salty. Okay, so part of what I want to do here is not just give you this information, get you, we kind of got to get the feel. We got to get the feel for what winter is. Really not just understand it logically, understand on the surface, but really kind of dive in and get this strong feeling for what winter is. Then once we have that, then a lot of questions will probably answer themselves. But if you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. Winter is marked by deep yin energy of yin and yang. So yin is generally considered cooler, darker. That's the energy. Yang is going to be active, right? Light and bright. So of all the seasons, winter is the most yin. Okay, it's the most darker, cold energy, right? Not hard to understand at all. Characterized by cold and darkness. It is a time for rest, conservation, and introspection. This gets into some of the deeper things, right? Like if something's cold and deep, that would be the time to look inward. Right? Not like summer. Nobody's looking inward in summer. We're just all out having fun. You save that stuff for winter. The kidneys, again, the kidneys and bladder, those are the core organs, the main ones that connect with winter, store essential life energy, or Jing in Chinese, and are closely linked to vitality and aging. So to put this another way, if we want to really grasp vitality and get control of our aging, we need to do all the stuff we need to do right in winter, because that can either harm us or it can hurt us, depending on what we do or don't do. Right, let's dive in now to some deeper understandings of what winter is. We're going deep today, and then we're gonna round it all off with the stuff that we need to do. But I would highly recommend not skipping ahead. You can skip ahead if you want, but this is the good stuff. Right here, what we're going to talk about right now is the good stuff. This really gets our understandings to how ancient Chinese wisdom looked at winter and how that affects us. Okay, so the nature of yin. So I briefly went over yin and yang just now. In Chinese medicine, yin represents the cool, passive, and restful aspects of nature. During winter, yin is at its peak, manifesting as shorter days, longer nights, and colder temperatures. All right, so we talked about yang is bright, yin is dark, right? Yeah, the days in the winter seem to, the sun seems to come out late and goes down really early. A lot of the day is filled with darkness. So that's the yin energy right there. This energy encourages a slower pace of life and more inward focus, just like the animals hibernate. You might find yourself sleeping more in the winter, going a little bit slower. That's okay, man. That's okay. We gotta get in that groove because we can harness that energy for our serious introspection and also strengthening our kidneys, which, is important, as we mentioned, for aging, vitality. This is the time we do that. Contrast with yang. So with yang energy, winter's yin is the counterbalance to the active, warm yang energy of other seasons, especially summer, of course. In the cycle of yin and yang, winter's deep yin prepares the way for the resurgence of yang in the spring. We're hunkering down in the winter. We're getting our ducks in a row. We're looking inside. We're getting everything set so that when spring comes, we can have some fun. Coldness and darkness. This is important. Impact on the body. The cold and darkness of winter impact the body's energy systems, necessitating a conservation of heat and energy, right? That's hibernation. That's what animals do. The body instinctively slows down, mirroring the dormancy seen in nature. In response to these conditions, this is what we do, people are encouraged to adapt their activities, sleeping patterns, and diets to align with the shorter, colder days. This can mean more restful activities and earlier bedtimes, as well as warming and nourishing food. So we're going to get into all of that later, but this is why. If in winter you don't necessarily want to go too crazy. That's for the other seasons, right? Winter is keeping your energy in, more sleep. Some of the activities that we do are not necessarily going to be as crazy. Rest. Okay, so let's go into some of the specifics. Winter is a time to reduce physical exertion and rest, allowing the body to conserve energy. This is similar to many animals hibernating or showing less activity in the colder months. It's natural. Nature does this. Animals do this. We all do it. Conservation of energy. This period of reduced activity allows for the conservation of qi. Okay, qi is going to be vital energy. So I did a podcast all about qi. You can learn about that there. And Jing, essence. So basically you can think our fundamental energies of the body, the most important energies of the body. We want to conserve those in the winter. If we go too crazy, we can easily lose those, right? So it's we're preventing loss of those energies so that when the other season, when spring and summer come, we're going to be full of energy if we take care of ourselves in the winter. In Chinese medicine, conserving Jing energy, that essential energy during the winter, helps maintaining health and longevity. We want to think long term, You don't want to think like, I'm, tired in winter, I'm going to go and I'm going to, no. Think long term. Get all that sleep. It's just like a day, right? You sleep at night. Don't force yourself to stay up at night and work. You sleep at night. You have good rest at night. You're going to wake up early and have a great morning, right? It's the same idea. You sleep, you rest in the winter. When spring comes, you're going to be full of energy. You're going to have a great spring. You're going to be clear-headed. Everything's going to be great. Introspection. Oh, now we're getting deep. The introspective nature of winter is reflected in a focus on the inner reflection, meditation, and planning. I tell you, meditation is a great thing to do in the winter, right? It's good to do anytime, let's be honest. But the winter, if you can hunker down, do some long meditations, you're going to feel great. Okay, it talked about planning as well. Yeah, of course, when everything's calm, right? The outside world is calm. The energy is calm. It's cool. It's deep. You can come and say, okay, what am I? We talk about here's a good thing. We talk about New Year's resolutions. This is the time to kind of get everything, and especially too, like, what are you going to do in the spring? Because when the spring comes and that energy shoots up, you don't want to waste that. So you plan for that in the winters. Right when it comes, you're like, I know what to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get everything taken care of. Absolutely. Winter is a time to gather thoughts, reflect on the past year, and set intentions for the future. Now, if you're the kind of person that says, hey, you want to know what? Try it. Just try it. Right? What's it going to hurt? What's it going to hurt for you to sit down and think about the past year and go, hey, you know what? I'm better. I could do better. Or maybe you did great. Maybe you totally crushed it and you go, you know what? I crushed it. What did I do to crush it? I'm telling you, winter is the time to do that. You know, you can go back to that during the different seasons, but winter, your mind is clear, it's crisp, just like the winter air. That's when you're gonna like really be able to plan things out and think big and think clearly. It's a thing. It's 100% a thing. Don't think it is. The kidneys and Jing energy. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit. The role of kidneys. In traditional Chinese medicine, the kidneys are considered the foundation of all yin and yang energies in the body. That's another way to put it. The vital energies, both yin and yang, all the energies, they're all rooted in the kidneys. The kidneys are so important for your vitality, for your everything. They're responsible for storing Jing, which is a form of deep life-sustaining energy. Jing and vitality. Jing is related to our genetic potential and is a marker of our overall vitality. Okay, so a lot of this energy was given to us at birth, but then we cultivate it by how we act, what we eat, do we sleep well, do we take care of ourselves, right? It is linked with longevity, reproductive health, and developmental process. Those all are core. Those are very important. Winter and kidney health. Winter, being a kidney dominant season, is the optimal time to nourish and support kidney health. Practices like warming the body, eating kidney supporting foods, and gentle exercises like Tai Chi or Qigong are particularly beneficial. Okay, so these deeper things, I'm telling you, meditation, all of these, nice warm foods, stews, we're going to get into that. Don't worry. I will, those are important. We're definitely going to get into that. Aging. Jing is associated with the aging process. You can almost think of it like a little bit like a clock. And as long as you take care of it, you take care of this energy, this Jing energy, it will just release a little of what's needed at the time. And that's kind of your aging. That's your clock. If you're burning the candles at both ends, if you're sleeping a lot in the summer and really crazy active in the winter, you're doing it all backwards, you're doing everything wrong, your Jing energy is like, well, we got to supplement here, we got to supplement there. You're just, it's like your health. It's just going down. The conservation and nurturing of Jing in winter are believed to support longevity and reduce the degenerative processes of aging, right? So that's the idea. We want to preserve that energy in the winter. That's the time where you can really nourish it with some of the foods and the sleeping, all of that. Oh, foods and sleeping, like that's great. Who wouldn't want to do that? Okay, so before we dive into some of the foods and what we should do, let's talk about some of the pitfalls, things to avoid. So winter's extreme cold and drafts, right? If you live in a drafty house, you might want to think about that. Weaken the body's defenses. So let me talk about drafts for just a second. There are 6 pathogens, 6 of these evil external things that are trying to get in and wreak havoc on our body. One of those is wind, and another is cold. So in the winter, you have this wind cold. And so especially like if you sweat a lot and your pores open, or you do things like you open your mouth a lot outside, right? Like in the winter would not be a time to go on a picnic, right? Because then that wind and that cold can enter through your mouth. It's a thing. I know it sounds silly, but it's a thing. And drafts too, draft in a house, just this constant cold air is just going to be weakening your system. That's why they say houses breathe. I say, we don't want our house to breathe. We want our house to be nice and tight, get an ERV system, have nice filtered air come into your house, just a little bit, just enough so that you can breathe nice, clean air that's filtered, but don't let all these drafts come in and blow on you all the time. You're just asking for trouble. That's going to weaken your body. And so here, exactly, it's crucial to wear warm clothing and keep your living space insulated against drafts to protect your health. If there's not much you can do about your drafts, even though I think there's always something that can probably be done, to just wear, something a little bit more like better during winter, right? Get the tracksuit out, or like get your pajamas on, get a nice onesie. There you go. No shame. And you're at home. Walk around in a onesie, right? Don't invite your friends over maybe, but while rest is essential in winter, complete isolation can lead to stagnation. Okay, so there is things like we want to sleep more, we want to eat better, we want to take it easy, we want to go slower, but we don't want to take that too much to an extreme, right? Or else we end up, a lot of people get depression in the winter, and they're not going with the flow, right? You definitely want time to yourself. You want time for introspection. You want to do that. But too much of that will lead to stagnation. That's too much yin energy. You need some yang energy. You got to keep going, right? It's important to maintain social connections and engage in gentle physical activities, which leads us perfectly into what are some activities we should do. We talked about Tai Chi and meditation. So those are things that we can do indoors, right? And a little bit of strength training. Okay, so it's going to be really good to do meditation and yoga and Tai Chi and that kind of stuff. But you probably want to add a little bit of some strength training as well. The reason being, it's like in the Tai Chi symbol, in the Yin Yang symbol, right? There's you have the black fish, but then you have that white dot in the middle, right? So it's mostly in energy, but you need a little bit of yang energy. So you need a little bit of maybe some weightlifting or a little bit of something like that. A little bit, not a lot. You want a little bit of that in the winter just to keep things going. Just like in the summer or the spring, you can definitely do a lot more weights if you're into bodybuilding or things like that. You don't want to do too much in the winter, but you want to do some. Embrace the restful energy of winter by ensuring adequate sleep and rest. Okay, so creating a cozy environment at home with soft lighting and blankets can enhance the sense of warmth and comfort. All right. Sleeping is an incredibly crucial thing that not just humans, animals, like we all do it. It's a very important thing. So you definitely want, and especially in the winter, because we're sleeping more in the winter. It's more important in the winter. Like, in the summer, it's like, you need to sleep, but, you don't need to sleep as much. But in the winter, you definitely want to get a good sleep. So, get your blackout curtains, get your noise machines, not like, nice, gentle, to help ease, make sure that your room is warm, not too drafty, all those things, especially in the winter. We want to have nice, good, deep sleeps in the winter so that all our energy can go. It can go down into the kidneys. It can strengthen the kidneys, strengthen that Jing energy. Very important stuff. Okay, and then last but not least, before we get into the food, winter is ideal for meditation and self-reflection, helping to conserve energy and connect with your inner self during this introspective time. So these are kind of two different things, but they're achieving a similar thing. So by, meditation, so much can happen in meditation, but that's kind of the idea, is that winter is already very calm. And so by meditating, you're getting totally in the zone of the way that winter is. You're getting totally with that energy. And then again, self-reflection, right? We talked a little bit about that, how the cool, crisp, clear nature of winter is perfect for us to look inward. And that's the time that we can take an honest look at ourselves. You don't have to tell anyone. Don't tell it. Just yourself. Why not? It's a good time to do like some journaling of that if you want, work through your issues. Winter's a great time to do that. It's dark and cold out. Why would you go outside? Sit, take a little bit of time each day, or take like a whole day. maybe not a whole day. You could try a whole day. I don't know that might be good. Take a little bit of time. Think about yourself. Take care of yourself and get your plans ready for spring. We're going to do another episode on spring later. Spring's a fun time. Everybody likes spring. Winter's great too. You just got to go with flow. All right. Now that we have a complete understanding of winter and its energies, we're going to dive into what we eat, how we eat, right? All of that. So we know that we need to meditate, we need to sleep well, we need to calm down, we need to look inward, we need to do some planning, and the foods that we eat are going to help all of that, or it might hurt it if we don't eat the right thing. So first things first, we're going to want some garlic and some ginger. These are staple warming ingredients in Chinese medicine. Now, when it says warming, it means not just like the physical warmth or that it is physically warm, but that it gives this internal energetic warmth to your body. Ginger and garlic do that. So we definitely want to include those. Onions are not a bad idea either, right? Green onions or just, your big white, yellow onions. Those are good too. So ginger promotes circulation and warms the body from the inside out. That's kind of the key there, making it ideal for cold weather. So we're dressed well, we're keeping drafts away, we're doing all that, right? We're protecting ourselves from that. And then we have some ginger. And when it says ginger, it's like in soups or whatever. You don't necessarily have to eat a piece of ginger. That's crazy. Garlic, with its pungent, acrid flavor, is believed to stoke the body's internal fire and support immune function. Yeah, garlic is a whole thing. I'm going to do an episode on that. Garlic has many magical properties, and it doesn't matter if you're from the East or the West. It's just for so many cultures talk about the amazing properties of garlic. Ginger as well, I'm telling you. These things are good things. So you want to make sure that you're incorporating these into your diet. They help warm you and they help keep the bad stuff, right? Like colds and things like that. They'll do a little bit to try and keep that at bay, but there's a lot you got to do to make sure that it doesn't come in as well. But add garlic and ginger to your diet. Winter squashes, okay, really any squashes, pumpkins, things like that. Squashes like butternut, acorn, and pumpkin are not only warming, okay, so energetically warming, they're also deeply nourishing. They're rich in vitamins and fiber, supporting digestive health, which is crucial in the winter. So these butternuts, these different squashes, pumpkins, and even things like yams and sweet potatoes, all of that stuff. What do they have in common? Well, I'm going to tell you. One thing is their color. They're all kind of orange and yellow, those colors, the meat is. So those are especially good, the things that are yellow, generally speaking yellow, not everything yellow, but like that color, especially when it comes to like a potato, like a yam or a pumpkin. Those are really beneficial for strengthening the spleen and stomach. Now, why would we want to strengthen the spleen and stomach? Well, that is our digestive system. And in order to receive nutrients well, that needs to be nice and strong. So eating these winter squashes, eating these pumpkins are going to really help strengthen our digestive system. Now, one other thing you might notice, all of these things are slightly sweet. So here's the thing on sweetness. Sweetness can actually strengthen your digestive system, but refined sugars, over sweetness, will harm it. Okay, so we want a little, but we definitely don't want a lot. So that's why eating these nice sweet things in the winter can help with your digestion, help keep you nice and warm. But if you're adding a bunch of sugar, that's going to end up having the opposite effect. So I know it sounds great. Throw a bunch of brown sugar in, something like that. It's fine, right? Some marshmallows. No, don't do that. But you want to know what you can do? You can add things like cinnamon and nutmeg and all kind of good herbs like that. Those also too have warming properties. Not bad at all in the winter. Not bad at all. Okay. We also want hearty grains. Grains like quinoa, barley, and brown rice provide sustained energy. Okay, so these are going to be kind of one of the only times that I might say brown rice is okay. I'm not usually a big fan of it, but you know, they are grounding and help to satisfy the body's need for more substantial foods during the cold season. That's the other thing you want. This is, as we're seeing with some of these foods, we're not eating, how do I put this? They're not light foods. Like you do want some spinach or something if you can get it. But it's more about these bigger, like these tubercles and these yams and pumpkins and more of these solid things like hearty grains, solid grains, right? We need, because we're nourishing our core, we're nourishing the main stuff. Whereas once it hits spring, right, that's going to be sprouts, that's going to be a lot of green stuff, you know, not too heavy on things. You know, we also are going to want warming meats. If you're into meats, I would highly recommend some warming meats. Which are the warming meats? Well, lamb or goat is a very warming meat. Beef is also a warming meat. These are great in the winter, okay? Pork, on the other hand, is a little bit more cooling, okay? Chicken is a little bit more neutral. It's not that it's bad to have. It's just that in the winter, we want to keep things nice and warm, right? And in the summer, right? In the other seasons, we might want to have more pork or chicken or things like that. But in the winter, lamb, goat, beef, those are definitely good. Foods that are rich in minerals and nutrients are thought to support kidney health, which is vital in winter according to Chinese medicine. So that's why we eat these kind of denser, like the meats are more like denser meats, right? Like lamb and beef, those are serious meats, right? Not like chicken. Chicken's just, you know, it's not so, it doesn't have all the strong flavors and like all the blood that's in the muscles and all. I mean, you know, those are serious things. So that's what we want to like really give us, you know, if you wanted to go all in the winter, what you do, and go to like an organic farmer to do this. Don't go to just any random place. Find a good, ideally you can find a nice farm and get kidneys, right? You can get beef kidneys, you can get pork kidneys. I mean, you can get any kidneys. Beef kidneys would be especially good because they're warming, or like lamb kidneys, things like that. And you might say, kidneys, that's gross. Okay, maybe it is a little bit, but I tell you what, that is going to nourish you like nothing else. If you can get some good, nice kidneys from animals that were raised well, you are going to be crushing it come spring, right? If you don't believe me, try it. Right? Get some nice, we'll get into cooking methods down here. You want to know there's ways that you can add it in that don't taste bad. Hey, this reminds me, right? The Scottish, they have haggis. I don't know if you've ever had haggis. If I'm not mistaken, traditionally, haggis is the stomach of a sheep. And then they take organs of the sheep, like the kidneys and livers and heart, I believe. They put it in, they cram in a bunch of like grains and stuff like that as well. They cook it, put a bunch of, and it's actually a little bit, it's kind of pungent, right? It's a strong flavor, which is a little bit surprising because if you think of Scottish food, you might not, it's legit. It is legit. I tell you what, the Scottish, they have it down. If you eat that in the winter, you're going to be crushing it come spring. All those deep organ energies, you know, right when the body is in winter, right when it's taking all that in, oh man, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel amazing. You might say, Jared, that's gross. I tell you what, next time I'm in Scotland, you come out and join me. We'll get some haggis together. I tell you what, I think it's great. You get haggis at a nice place. First off, if you don't even know what it is, you're not even going to realize. It doesn't you don't see, or because it's all crushed up, right? And you're going to taste it and be like, this is amazing. What is this? Well, these are organs, right? And then you're going to be like, gross. No, it's really good. And it's good for you, especially in the winter. Oh man, now I'm getting hungry. So many winter foods, especially those with natural antibiotic properties like garlic, are believed to strengthen the immune system, which is crucial during a time when the body is more susceptible to cold. So before we get into the methods, I'm gonna pause there for a second. Yes, by incorporating garlic, ginger, and onions, and other like herbs, or not even so much herbs, like spices, right? Cinnamon and nutmeg and cloves and all that. Generally, all of those have this nice kind of warming property, and then garlic and ginger and green onions and regular onions in particular have that preventative ability, like to prevent colds, to prevent things like that. Now, again, it's limited. Let's all calm down. It's limited. Don't do anything stupid or you're still going to catch a cold. And sometimes it's hard to avoid, right? But these help boost the immunity. So in the winter, you especially want ginger, garlic, and onions, right? Want to boost that immunity. We want to try to avoid getting a cold. So many people get colds in the winter, right? Because they're not taking care of themselves. We're learning how to take care of ourselves. If you do all this stuff, there's no guarantees, right? You could easily still get a cold. There's no guarantees. But you might as well try and up your chances of not getting a cold, right? Okay. So what do we do? How do we prepare? Well, I'm going to tell you what. The best one, the number one thing, are going to be stews and soups. Slow cooked stews and soups are not only warming, but also easier to digest. We talked about that some with the pumpkins and some of those, how digestion is very important in this time because we need to take in a lot of these good, strong nutrients and then get those into the kidney. So you want a good digestion. And if you don't have a good digestion, or even if you do, you might as well eat foods that are easy to digest, which are soups and stews. Some of the easiest to digest foods out there are those. The easiest, to put it another way, the easiest way to get those nutrients and get those energies. This method of cooking, referring to stews and soups, aligns with the body's need for more easily assimilated nutrients during the colder months. Okay? Cannot stress that enough. We talked about spices already for helping kind of with the warmth and improving the circulation. And some of these spices also help with digestion. So winter is a great time to have these wonderful spices. And you want to know what? We kind of do that already, right? Like cinnamon is often used in the winter. We just kind of do that naturally. Nutmeg, it's in these winter teas and things like that. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. Keep doing that. I mean, it's good any time of the year, but especially in winter for sure. Okay, so now if you're not necessarily using stews and soups, any method you do, generally you want it to be a slow cooking method. Now, oftentimes soups and stews are also slow cooking. So this method of cooking is ideal for winter, as it preserves the energy of the food and allows for better assimilation of nutrients. Slow-cooked meals are often more satisfying and comforting, which is emotionally beneficial during the shorter, darker days. So if you're into casseroles or whatever, anything, you got nice earthenware. Again, earth connects with the digestion, the spleen, stomach. Using earthenware in the winter is a really good idea. And, maybe you've had a bunch of soups and stews and you can't take any more. Yeah, like a nice casserole or something. A lot of these things that are cooked for longer, because again, right, the winter it has long nights. It just seems to drag on. A lot of that drags on. It's all about this long sleeping. And so you want your food to match that. If you cook it longer, get it all nice and good, doesn't have to be high temperatures necessarily, just nice long cooking, that that whole method of cooking, your body is totally in that groove in the winter. And so it will be more effective to have slow cooked meals and stews in the winter than it would in other seasons. Other seasons, we'll get into those when that time comes, but those other seasons can have some totally different ways of cooking, right? All right, so another couple things to keep in mind. One is going to be hydration, okay? Despite the less obvious loss of fluids in the winter, maintaining hydration is essential. Warming herbal teas such as ginger or cinnamon tea can be hydrating and warming. And so that would be what I would recommend, right? Like, you're definitely going to be drinking more water in the summer, for example, because you need it. You're running around, you need it. But we have to remember, winter is the season of water. That's the element. So it doesn't mean that we need a lot of water. This is what we have to keep in mind. But we need nice, warm, good water. And you want to know what? Having these teas, just like what I read here, ginger and cinnamon and all these different beautiful teas, that's great. 2 birds, 1 stone right there. You're getting this great energetic property, and you're staying hydrated. Plus 2, soups are a great way to stay hydrated. So you don't necessarily have to be chugging a bunch of water. You can stay hydrated in the winter with a lot of these great herbal teas. Okay, moderation in eating. Okay, so sometimes it's easy in the winter to go a little overboard. We don't want to go too overboard, right? While the body may require more substantial foods in winter, Chinese medicine advises against overeating, which can tax the digestive system and lead to imbalances in the body, right? So we're going to be eating these heartier foods in the winter. And, you definitely want to eat enough, but you don't want to overdo it. Just to do a quick recap, adapt your daily routine to the slower and more reflective nature of the season. Prioritize self-care and wellness practices that align with the yin energy of winter. While winter is a yin-dominant season, maintaining a balance between yin and yang is vital. This can be achieved through diet, exercise, and mindfulness practices. Dress warmly, especially when going outdoors, to protect against the cold and to maintain the body's internal balance. With the dryness of winter, it is important to stay hydrated and keep the skin moisturized. All right, so that's it for winter. Now, if you're saying to yourself, hey, Jared, what's some good coffee I should drink? Well, you want to know what? Days coffee. That's the good coffee that you should have. Jared approved. And why is that Jared approved? Well, because Days coffee has only 15% the caffeine of regular coffee. And you may say to yourself, hey, Jared, only 15%. What weird chemicals are they using? They're not. That's the thing. Right? Other decaf coffees like Strip It and use all this weird stuff. They have this special 50 enzyme complex that naturally removes the caffeine. So you can get a lot of the benefits of coffee, right? Some of the digestive benefits and that time. I think coffee is especially good after a big winter meal, after a big meal any time of the year, honestly. But one of the challenges is all that caffeine. Hey, you want to know what? Get yourself some Days coffee, not so much caffeine, and it tastes amazing. I will leave a link in the description below to where you get Days coffee. And for all of you ancient life hackers out there, when you buy your Days coffee, you can enter the code ALH, that's for ancient life hacks, ALH15, and get yourself 15% off. That's just for us. Don't tell anyone else. Sure, you can tell them. That's fine. Tell anybody. It's all great. Okay, so that's it for me. That's it for winter. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I will see everyone next week.